Welcome back. It's time now for Media Watch, our roundup of the best stories in the international news media. James Creedon has the day's update. Good evening.
Good evening, Nana.
We start with Nicolas Sarkozy's campaign music. It's been released here in France. As we know, the campaign is in full swing. It's generated a lot of commentary. People think it sounds a lot like a Hollywood blockbuster film.
It's really funny to see the comments. I think people are shocked because usually campaign music is sort of very hopeful and light and cheerful and all the rest of it. And, well, people are saying it sounds like really dramatic sort of blockbuster Hollywood music. I think there's nothing to do at this point, Lana, except take a listen. Yeah, it is really dramatic. So what we can hear here is essentially this isn't live, right? This is an edit that we've put together, but it's sort of like almost like a horror movie, right? It's full of tension.
It's almost a little stressful, actually.
Now, we know that Sarkozy is trying to pose in some ways as the savior of France in the crisis. That's a little bit his tactic in terms of how he's trying to present his campaign.
He said last week that he wouldn't jump ship, so to speak, at such a critical time.
Right, so it's almost like he's portraying himself as the captain of a ship in a massive storm, and we've got this big dramatic music.
The music is fitting for that.
It really is, but it's very unusual. I mean, I don't know of any other campaign in any other country which has used that sort of dramatic, pulsing tone.
So we're talking about this ship theme. Some people are commenting that it sounds like something out of Jaws. Is that true?
Let's take a listen. I think it actually does a little. Let's take a listen to some of the theme tune of Jaws. We're all very familiar with this very dramatic kind of loud beats coming in, lots of strings, and yeah, the whole idea, of course, is to create suspense, to create the sense of a dramatic moment. So perhaps what Sarkozy is trying to do is conjure up the notion of dangerous economic times and the crisis, and he being the man of the moment in some senses. I can't think of what else it's meant to mean because otherwise he's just trying to scare us.
It really isn't dissimilar to that Jaws soundtrack, I have to say.
Right.
And this is in quite sharp contrast with François Hollande's slogan in his campaign, isn't it?
That's right. I mean, it's a good moment to compare the two again, and that got a lot of comment a couple of weeks ago when it came out. Le changement c'est maintenant. Let's take a little listen. It's a very different tone of music. It's much more positive. It's much more upbeat, and it's much more a contemporary sort of sound, dance music essentially. And just a very repetitive message. Le changement c'est maintenant. Change is now. And so the dramatic music we heard earlier and this here for the Socialists, they are the respective choices of the two leading candidates
so
for their campaign rallies.
This is what we'll be hearing for the next 3 months.
Exactly right.
Marine Le Pen has also been doing her share of singing, actually.
Yes, she has.
Tell us more.
This isn't her campaign tune, it must be said. It's not one you'd choose. But in any case, she was asked for her reaction to Sarkozy's first campaign rally yesterday in Marseille. He spoke for the first time at a big rally. She was asked for her opinion on the rolling news channel Itélé.
Marine Le Pen, of course, the far-right candidate.
The far-right candidate. And let's take a listen to how she responded.
Encore des mots, toujours des mots, les mêmes mots, rien que des mots.
Votre numéro d'Alida est assez au point. Dit-les, merci à vous.
She responded in song.
She responded in song.
With a very famous song.
A very famous song, Parole, Parole, Parole. It's all words.
By iconic singer Dalida.
Right. Who is trotted out by every politician to use as a kind of, what would you say, an example of how the other politician is
just lying.
Exactly, talking. It's all talk.
One last quick story on Twitter. Is the social media site bowing to political pressure? It's suppressed some spoof accounts of Nicolas Sarkozy.
That's right. It's a big story today on this around the whole social media. I suppose news. Essentially, Twitter were asked by Nicolas Sarkozy's campaign to take down satirical accounts. One was called, for example, at Ma France Forte, My Strong France. Another at Mr. Sarkozy. Now, the rules for satirical accounts on Twitter is that it cannot appear to be the official account of the person in question. It must make it very clear that it is a satirical account. Now, in some cases here, it was particularly clear that they were satirical, yet the accounts were still taken down. So it seems that Twitter did bow to French political pressure on the part of the government to take down those websites. Now, it has happened in the past as well for satirical websites that were taking for the Socialist Party. So it's not just a right issue.
All right. Thanks very much for bringing us that controversy. James Creedon, that was Media Watch.